Hey, my name is Brett, and you're watching the first episode of the Who Asked You podcast. This is something I wanted to do about a year ago that I never got around to, and I figured it was time to finally just do it. I wrote a bunch of notes, and I wanted to get back on making these kind of videos on YouTube somehow. It's just going to be a video podcast, and I feel like it's going to be kind of free form. Like, I'm not really going to set a schedule for it or have a designated amount of time it's going to be. Like, it'll probably be about a half an hour, but I haven't really decided specifically how long I want it to be. But I'm gonna talk about whatever I feel like talking about, kind of. And for next time, I'll probably have an intro and stuff like that, better production, and I'll probably live stream it next time. I just want to get a feel, do like a trial run, pilot type of thing right here, and just go off and see how it goes. So, as I don't know if I said this, I tried to record this a couple times, but I have a pretty huge list of notes. Uh, and I was just writing them in the car on the way back from Walmart, which is just a retarded place. Everyone knows that, though. Because everyone's running around. See, the problem with Walmart, you're all walking around trying to get somewhere, right? And obviously, and some people don't seem that they're trying to get somewhere. They seem that they're trying to stop you from getting somewhere, because people, or maybe it's just they have a specific agenda to get somewhere very quickly, and they're willing to just jump in your way. They think they always go first. The world kind of revolves around these Walmart assholes, and they'll cut you off. They'll make you wait for them to grab something, or they'll be looking around and trying to find what they want to grab, and they don't care that you're standing there. So that's just how it is a damnable place. One other thing I want to talk about. So you might know I am a songwriter and producer. I guess I have a music channel, which is my main priority right now. I guess at this point, it's kind of an annoying setup. At this point in my YouTube career, quote unquote, it's not really a career. I say that because I've been doing it since 2009. I was 9 years old, and I've always evolved. First, I talked about wrestling, and then I moved on to talk about. I did like skits, and I moved on to podcasts and then music. So I've really evolved a lot. And the first episode, something else I want to bring up. The first episode of my old podcast, Perthanos Rambles, I did 18 of those episodes. The first one was the worst. It was a train wreck. So it'll probably be the same with this. So bear with me for this first episode. I'm just gonna try to feel out how I'm gonna do this. But I was saying I'm a songwriter. I got off track. I'm rambling on this podcast also. Go figure. But I am trying to write a third album at this point, and I'm trying to just get started with it. I'm not gonna rush myself with this one. I don't really plan to have it out till the end of the year. But what I find is when I try to sit down and write, I'm sure this is a problem a lot of writers have. I can't do it. Like, I'll just try to get in a certain headspace and just try to come up with song ideas and stuff, and it just doesn't come to me. Then on a weekend, this is about once a week, the same thing every time. I go to bed at like 1:30 a.m. and it'd be really screwy, even more so if I went to bed at 1:30 p.m. But then I'll roll around trying to sleep for a half an hour. I'll get up, unplug my phone. I'll sit there for an hour writing songs. Usually I write 2 songs. Not necessarily good ones that I would use, but just I get a lot of writing done just in the middle of the night when I wasn't planning to. And I can never get it done during the day when I want to. But for some reason my mind is just so active during the night. I guess I'm something of a night owl. But that's just something that kind of bothered me. Speaking of things that bother me, we're going to get into it for real now. So, I'm 16, and I'm just learning how to drive right now. I got my learner's permit like 2.5 months ago, I want to say. So I'm only a few months from being able to get my license, at least test for it. I'm not sure I will pass the first time. But I've been driving around, to do certain chores with my mom and stuff, like go to the bank or something. And this has happened multiple times. I only drive like once every week or so, I guess. Kind of like how often my exercise of songwriting happens, my inadvertent exercise. And I'll always find I'm just driving along. I'm starting to calm my nerves once I'm getting into the drive, because when you're early driver, you're obviously nervous, and someone will be about 2 inches behind me because I'm driving kind of slow because I want to be cautious. I think better safe than sorry and all that. So I prefer to just go at a slower pace and not try to like get somewhere fast, because I feel that's an obvious thing, especially when you're a new driver, don't know what you're doing too much, and someone will be pressed up against me, and it couldn't be any closer to me. So if I break at all, they're gonna smash into the back of my car. Someone could die. Who knows? But it's a little obnoxious, in my opinion. And one time I was driving to the bank, like I mentioned, and these two girls were behind me. They were both giggling, too, like young girls, probably like 18, 20. And they saw it was the funniest thing ever that some kid who's new to driving, and I'm getting worked up, and going this slow. And I'm not even going that slow. I mean, the road, it's probably, I think the speed limit was probably 30 miles an hour. I was going 30, 35. They want me to go like 50 miles an hour on this road. Just risk people's lives, you know. That's what they want from me. I don't know. And this wasn't the last time this happened either. That was the first time. Then I was driving home, and some guy was doing the same thing. Finally, when I pulled up to a red light, or as it was turning green, I think, he zoomed past me and beeped his horn. He had been tailgating me for the last couple of minutes. Just very irritating. Like when I'm driving with my friend's mom, one time we were driving to a golf lesson, and she was getting tailgated, and never knew how annoying that would be. God, I need to have some sympathy for me as a new driver. Jeez. Okay, the next thing, I have been wanting to see the movie Popstar. It's the Andy Samberg movie with a Lonely Island. I've been a fan of their music for years, and I figured that'll be a great movie. So I've been waiting to get a chance to see it. And if anybody, you can leave a comment if you found this video, if you've made it 7 minutes deep. I don't know how long it is, but clearly some dedication. So thank you for making it 7 minutes in. If you've seen the movie, tell me how it is. I'm sure it's pretty great. It's been in theaters for a while now. Finally just want to see it. And on episode 2, whenever that is, I'll do a review of that. So yeah, there's a couple things I'm saving for episode 2 because I don't want to pack everything into episode 1. I don't, like I said, I'm not really going to have a schedule with this. It might be a few days between episodes. It might be a month between episodes, It might vary. I'm just going to see if this ends up getting a fan base, which I doubt because I never have gotten a fan base on YouTube. But if it were to, I'll just see based on what the request seems to be, like, or what people seem to want, of how often I'll do it. I'm kind of just going to do it when I feel like it, and the length will just be however long I feel like talking. Okay, so we're going to get into something pretty serious now. My opinions on politics. So. This is probably going to get intense. So there was a shooting in Orlando yesterday that killed 50 people and injured about 50 also. So that was very tragic. Heard about on the news. It's being called biggest mass shooting in America. I'm sure you know what that's all about, but I felt the need to just go over the bullet points, And there's a lot of different things to take out of that. From gun control to ISIS to homophobia and stuff. This is something I was mentioning in a video on my music channel. And what I think about it, pretty much, the fact that this guy, who was under FBI investigation, he was associated with a suicide bomber, and he was talking at his work about wanting to kill people, and he was able to get a gun. It's not that I want to ban the Second Amendment, because I do believe that citizens should be able to defend themselves, like against a criminal, because that would just lead to criminals being able to have guns and citizens not being able to, which would end up being a disaster. So I do want the Second Amendment to stay intact, but there obviously needs to be harsh regulations on this, because that's kind of retarded that someone with his history could get their hands on a gun. Obviously anyone could if he can. So I think we're all pretty much at danger because of that, obviously. And that's kind of mind-boggling that he could get his hands on a gun, and Trump is going to make it all about ISIS, which that's a problem also. And I don't want to. Obviously, I don't agree with him banning all Muslims from the country, or yeah, Muslims from the country. Uh, and that has to do with this also. But Trump is very adamant for the Second Amendment, which, and he's like a big supporter of the NRA and everything. But he is saying he's so right about after this happened. He's like bragging about how right he is from the shooting, and I think that's kind of fucked up. So, he's not really entirely right because guns is proving him wrong on the whole gun issue. That we do need regulations on that. Um, it's not like how Hillary wants to ban Second Amendment entirely, which I'm going to get into the cons of her and why I support Bernie Sanders and not her. So that was my next bullet point as far as politics. I'm sure there's going to be a whole section in each of these podcasts about politics. So if you're not into that stuff, bear with me with that also. So Hillary, the reason why, I mean, her and Bernie are pretty similar on some social issues, but the reason why Bernie's better, there are a couple of reasons. He is for everyone having healthcare, universal healthcare, because every other civilized country has it, and it's kind of ridiculous that America doesn't. He's also for free college and legalizing weed because if alcohol is legal, weed should be. Alcohol is more dangerous in a lot of ways. That's the pros about Bernie. That Hillary's not for universal health care or universal free college, and she also takes a lot of money from Wall Street and big donors. Therefore, they would be able to control everything that she stands for, I guess, and control policies and change them. So you know that she is not reliable because of that. Plus, she voted for the Iraq War, against gay marriage. She voted for the Patriot Act. Like, she's made a lot of bad decisions. And I understand it's good. One thing she has over Trump is that she has experience. And Trump has no political experience, but she has made some bad decisions as far as that goes. And another thing pisses me off big time is when people say it's unfeminist to not support her because she's the first female president. She would be the first female president. I totally disagree with that because why, there's like Jill Stein, a Green Party candidate. Why is it not sexist to not support her then, Yeah, or why is it, not sexist, whatever. And it has nothing to do with that, obviously. I just went over the bullet points of why I think Bernie's better. But that's just a cheap card, because you could say the same thing about Bernie with him being Jewish. He'd be the first Jewish president, so you must be anti-Semitic if you don't support him, right? It's kind of the same thing. They're just trying to milk it with coming up with reasons to smear Bernie supporters, and they try to make them feel bad for not supporting her. It's a little ridiculous, though. And recently, Bernie lost California, the primary, which was heartbreaking for me. I almost lost faith in the whole process. I figured it'd just be Trump versus Hillary at this point. But there is multiple ways still that he could win. There's going to be Washington, D.C. tomorrow, I know. Yeah, today's June 13th, right? I remember they said the 14th it was Washington, D.C., so that's tomorrow, yeah. Hopefully he'll win that one at least. And she has been under FBI investigation for like a year, so that's also a bit of a problem for her. And I wouldn't feel safe with her against Trump if she can get indicted. And that, I don't know what would happen in that case. Trump would pretty much be president right now. Would they throw another candidate in against him? We'd be kind of screwed if that happened. And also, Bernie polls better against Trump. He beats Trump by a lot, and Hillary and Trump are like tied, or Trump is winning, scary shit like that. And also, one more thing I heard from someone else, I forget who, but also a lot of the primaries were closed to independents, so that might have swayed a couple of them for Bernie. He won like 20 anyway, so it was a pretty close primary season. So I think he has a good case to argue at the convention against her. So before you count him out, just recognize those things. If you put them all together, the chances might still be kind of slim, but I still have faith Hashtag feel the burn, yeah. The next thing I want to talk about right now is the NBA Finals, and I'm currently missing a game that's on right now. I don't really care because it pissed me off too much watching the last game, so I decided I don't give a shit anymore. So, I know Klay Thompson recently, I saw a post on Instagram of a quote of his where he said that LeBron wasn't a real man because he was complaining about getting hit in the nuts by Draymond Green. I'm going to tell you why this is bullshit. Oh, God. So the definition of a real man, technically what it's been portrayed as by the media or whatever, people, men kind of whine that they're stereotyped also, which is kind of dumb. But a real man is someone who's tough and stands up for what they believe in, I guess, and also against injustice, like when someone kicks them in the nuts, injustice like that. So if you think about it the other way around, how he would not be a real man is if he didn't stand up for himself when he got kicked in the nuts, because he shouldn't put up with that. That's kind of shitty and unsportsmanlike, which is another thing I want to get into. Good sportsmanship, a lot of times in high stakes events in sports, tends to be missing. Something I've noticed over the years, I guess, and something that upsets me and pissed me off last game during the finals when all the guys were going at each other and constantly having these hard fouls on each other. I'm like, really? Because I've seen a lot of this in past stuff, and I got pretty mad towards the end of the game. I had to turn it off early because I was kind of raging. Game 4 last time, which is why I don't even care, because the Cavs are down 3 games, so they probably have no chance here. So I don't even care anyway. But some of the times I've been the most mad, a lot of times because of bad sportsmanship, during big sporting events that I remember. Super Bowl 2015, when it was the Patriots versus, I think, the Seahawks. They were all, at the end of the game, you probably remember, they were all going at each other. Everyone was freaking out. They didn't really know what was going on. And I think some guy got shoved. It was just... I'm a Patriots fan, so I was just hoping that they could make the win. Oh, yeah, and the rookie got the big interception, and I was freaking out at that point. I was pumped. I was mad at the end of the game because everyone was just not being sportsmanlike. I understand that the pressure is high and they're really pumped up and stuff. Another time is the NBA Finals in 2015, last year, the same matchup, Golden State and the Cavaliers. This has nothing to do with unsportsmanship or lack of sportsmanship, whatever. In overtime of Game 2, I have written here, the referees, I might have been just conspirizing, if that's a word, but it seemed like kept trying to fuck the Cavs over in overtime, and I remember I was freaking out then too. I was rooting for the Cavs both last year and this year. Another time that's unsports related was the How I Met Your Mother finale, I believe in 2014. I remember I broke a remote because he ended up with Robin. I was just super mad because I'd been watching that show for 2 years. I threw my remote on the ground in a fit of rage. So those are some of the times that I've been the most pissed off watching TV. Surprised that it took that long to have a voice crack. Okay, so a few more things. They're kind of interesting. Height. I am 5'7", and, it's not that I would get girls anyway, because I'm a bit of a chubster. See all this chin. But I always see these posts on Instagram, you've probably seen them too, like about height requirements, or about getting mad that celebrity guys they previously thought were hot are only like 5'9", which these are girls that are like 5'2" also. That's kind of retarded. I'm using the word retarded a lot. I'm sorry, it's politically incorrect, I know. But that's annoying. Because I'm 5'7", like I said. I think like roughly 5'7". And I know that I'm pretty much just fucked for dating ever, because just, a requirement, not just a turn off, but a requirement is that a guy be tall. At least 6 feet. Preferably like 7'5", I'm pretty sure. So that's just a little thing. Seeing those posts on Instagram annoys me. Also, Visco, I don't know, or VSCO, that website that is in a lot of people's Instagram bios. I don't really understand how it works pretty much. Like if you, because I always used to look up if people could see, like years ago, if people could see when you view their Facebook or Instagram page, can they see when you view their VSCO page? I need to ask that too, because I don't really understand it. Because let's just say there are some people who might be weird that I'm viewing their page. I don't know them well enough. I don't really want them to know that. And they have an extensive privacy policy. I looked it up, but didn't really get anything out of it. It was just very baffling. It seemed like it contradicted itself and kind of messed with my head. And now I'm afraid to look at any VSCO pages. So if someone knows anything about that, could explain that to me, I would appreciate it a lot. Just first world problems, I know. But yeah, it's about 9:30 right now. Yeah, and it's dark out now. It's 9:30, but it's a pretty gorgeous night. It was, and I went to the track and saw the nice sunset. That was pretty cool. Yeah, see, now I'm just rambling a lot, as I would. But yes, before next podcast, I want to see Popstar. That would be great. I could give a nice review of that. Also, I'm thinking about buying a PS4. I think next time I want to go over pros and cons, Xbox One, PS4, because I've been stuck with an old generation console for a while, 360, and I figured it's time to update before they're already on to the next generation. I don't want to get left behind that much. And I'm sure Trump will have said something else that's dumb before the next podcast. We'll have that to talk about, There's a whole Trump University thing happening. Politics is so ridiculous. I don't know. I'm probably gonna have a segment about that every podcast until the election, because there's just a lot to talk about with that. So I hope you enjoyed this. We're clocking in at about 22 minutes. I'm gonna go try to force myself to watch the game. Probably find something to eat, because I'm a fatty, like we talked about before. It wouldn't matter if I wasn't, because no girl would date me anyway, because I'm not tall. But yes, this was probably a bit of a disaster, as the first of anything is usually. So hopefully I'll get better with this as time goes on. But I just wanted to give this a trial run, and I hope you found some kind of enjoyment about it if you listened to all 22 minutes. So thanks. Peace out.